So I have it assembled. It's about 5 feet high, and you can't really see the tape. I'm using this kind. So it's nice. The reason we do the taping is as you're winding balloons on it and in transit, these can unscrew themselves, especially if you're winding balloons in the wrong direction. Then by the time you get to the venue, the thing's coming apart, and it's coming apart under the balloons, which is like especially not great. So we're just doing this to keep that from happening, especially down here toward the bottom. It's good to do that. So that's how you put together a stanchion. End of video. And we're just going to set out the balloons so they're convenient for you. See if there's a tip. If there is, remember, put it on the board. What we're going to do is make some 9 and 10 inchers. So we're making 5 packs. We're going to do an 8 and 8, a 9 and 9, and a 7 and a half. So I don't mean 10, I mean 9. There we go. And this is organic, meaning all different sizes of bubbles. And that means we don't have to be so precise, which is wonderful. We can relax and be a little loosey-goosey. This is just for guidance. So I'm going to show you how to do it, then you'll do it on your pump, and I'll do it on my pump. So 2 at a time. We're doing an 8 navy and an 8 gray. We're going to be loosey-goosey about it. I'm going to take off these little nozzles. So we know this is 9 inches. I'm just going to go like about an inch less, and I don't even have to be precise like I would on a regular column. Nice, huh? Yeah. All right. Oh, navy and gray. Oops. Navy and gray. Okay. Not too precise. Then we're going to do a 9-inch white and a 9-inch navy. So that's full size, which is 9. Navy and white. Fill it full, burp it down, round it out twice around. And I'm not being as precise, even though I let out a little more air. It's cool. It's organic, so they're supposed to be all different. And what's the 5th one on this 5-pack? 7.5-inch gray. Okay. So we start with a quad. We're inflating 2 at a time when we can. Now I'm going to go 7 and a half. It's a little scarier, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going a little bigger than it. Not too precise. It's smaller. And I'm going to go twice around and knot it. Once, twice. So I don't have to knot it and then tie it in. Just, yeah. So this is a 5-pack. See how it's 5 instead of 4.
But they all lay around like,
yeah.
Like so.
And so then we're going to squish it onto the stanchion kind of as flat as we can. I'm going to get a bag and put it underneath so that we're not getting too dirty too fast here. Yeah, if you can put that bag down. Oh, that's low. Yeah, if you can put that bag down. So the first step is to build things all the way up the stanchion. And we're going to squish them down as flat as we can as we go. So, like this. And then I'm just going to squish it. And it's a random pattern. It's not like we have to have so much care where things go. And you see how it's pretty flat, even though it's a fiber? It's pretty flat. Okay, so you can make yours and I'll make mine and we'll go all the way up the pole with that.
Okay, it's just the same.
Yep, same, and just, we would normally on like a spiral column, we might go navy, 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 marching its way around.
Right, yeah.
But in this case, it's literally going to look random, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right. So how to scrunch it. I didn't get this on the video before. So in order to scrunch, if you put your hand in a ring shape, like you're holding a glass, and then you go down the middle with it, that's a good way to make it scrunch it down, rather than individually scrunching them. So for example, this one on. Twice around, and then I'm making this round shape and going right in the middle. And the fact that they're kind of at different levels is no big deal. So with something organic like this, I'm actually diverging from the recipe. And you can too a little bit. Like if you're running out of colors, you can use your judgment. You can use less of some things. The only reason I'm giving you a recipe is like otherwise it's just really hard to know what to do.
Yeah.
You know? So now I'm going to try for balance. There's a whole clump of these, and it's not supposed to be chunked according to the picture. So I'm going to like pivot these around a bit. Move these. We got a lot of this. I'm going to put a gray one in there, put a white one. Yeah, that looks a little more balancy. This is very random. This one, we'll probably put some white nunchucks around here so it breaks it up a little bit more that way. Next, we are going to cap this off with a strap so that the star foil isn't going to be an issue. So I'm looking in fragments for something of a similar color. There's some silvers. I could try a little silver or a little white. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to open this up and string it over the top. Ooh, we've got a big gap there. We're going to definitely fill that up later. Okay, so then I'm just going to, I put 2 fingers of each hand in there. There. So this softens this, so the star that we're going to put on the top of it won't so easily be popped. Now we're going to make nunchucks. A nunchuck is either a 160 balloon or a 260 balloon with 2 or 3 balloons on the end. So we're using 5-inch balloons, these little guys. and we're randomly inflating them to maybe 3 or 4 inches. And again, we're only using the sizer as a guide. I like to use the sizer here, otherwise I go too big.
Okay.
And I lose track of, wait, how big is it supposed to be? So I'm going to put these little bitty nozzles on the pump so these little balloons will fit. So we're going to do nunchucks. All right. So we're taking these fibers. The 5-inch is the maximum, but we never really leave them inflated at the maximum. We always puff them up and then burp them down, and then they're much less likely to pop. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go, and I'm just using these 4-inch bubbles here. I'm just making sure I don't exceed it. However much smaller it is, it's cool.
Okay.
And again, this is loosey-goosey. What I love about these is it's finally a chance, a rare chance, to be a little more relaxed. I'm doing 2 at a time when possible, but to put the third one on, I have to inflate it alone. That's fine. Burping it down, just making sure it's not more than 4. They're purposely kind of different in size from each other, twice around. So I'm not tying a knot and then tying it in. I'm just tying it in and tying a knot. So this is going to go on one end of the 260. These long skinny balloons are called 260s because when they're fully inflated, it's 2 inches wide and 60 inches long. So that's one end of the nunchuck. Could you hang on to that for me for a sec? And on the other end, 2 or 3. For some reason, 3 is aesthetically pleasing on the other end. And I guess there's no hard and fast rule about whether the ones on the ends are all the same colors, like the same color as each other. But I don't know, for some reason I feel like clusters look a little better.
When they're all the same color.
Sorry?
They look better when they're the same color.
I think they kind of do. Well, you'll see too, it looks like progressions. Like when it's adjacent to a color that's like it, it almost looks like bubbles bubbling up, which I don't know, for some reason seems more soothing to me. Okay, so there is a nunchuck. If you were a very lightweight ninja that wasn't going to hurt anybody, you could do hi-ya, right? And then we'll make a bunch of these, and we'll twist these in here at random intervals. And that gives it 2 things. It's going to fill gaps. So you'll see we have gaps. Like you can see the stanchion in here. This is a perfect place for a nunchuck to go.
Okay.
And it also just adds variety and a little visual interest to have these little things for the eye to travel along all up and down. Okay. As you can see, as we noticed while we're doing our embellishments, it's tippy. It's not straight. And the reason is some of these, I believe, are pressing on there. So I'm going to show you how to do a repair and at the same time how to level it if this happens to you when you're making one of these columns. So you're going to want to grab some scissors and another balloon. Figure out about how big it needs to be. I think we're just going to need to do smaller ones than these and see if that does it.
I think it's too.
So, yeah. And this also pertains to if you're making a repair. Let's say this one popped. By the way, if you snip them way down here, they're less likely to pop loudly. That popped loudly. I have a hole of the one that popped, and I'm going to use it as a string. The nice thing about that is anything on the opposite sides that's depending on this balloon for staying in, because it's tied to this balloon, it's going to be just fine. So what I'm going to do is it twice around. Once, twice, and tie it in there. I'm just using the old balloon, and then I just scooch it in there and see. Let's see if it's straighter.
Still a little bit, but
not quite straighter. I think it's also this one.
That one. But that definitely, I think,
it helped a little though, right?
Yeah.
So let's try another one. And basically you can play with it until it works. So let's try another one. So I think that might be about right. I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm just going in and snipping. But I lost it. So I might not be able to use it as a string. So I'm going to pick a different string and hope for the best and then just see if everything holds together. And if not, I might have to replace another one. Another one pops out. Once around, twice around. I know you can't see, but one thing that's kind of nice as you're trying to break up blockiness or do embellishments is to do a progression. So you'll see I have 3 on one and 2 on the other side of this nunchuck. And if you do a progression, it looks like one when you put it in there. So I'll show you what I mean. Take this all the way around and over here. And what's kind of nice about this visually is if you put them together, you see how it seems like it's one mass of silver bubbles progressing? It's kind of visually nice for the eye to travel. So that's another thing you can do as you're embellishing. I'm going to actually move this to a different part of it because I want it to be closer to a different color. But that would be a progression. Okay, there's 2 kinds of stars. This is the easy kind. It's one balloon with one valve. Find the little circular thing. It's kind of well hid sometimes. It's on the end of one of the stars. And for any foil balloon, you don't use these pumps. These ones, they're too high pressure. You use this little gray one. And it has a foot pedal. So I'm going to take the stick, open up the valve by putting the stick through. Then, this is purposely a leaky pump. And the reason for that is it won't pop this fragile foil. Not really open, and I know because it's not really inflating. So I'm gonna try again. Oh yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I can tell it's jammed shut when I feel it. So I'm gonna open it again. valve in this one.
Oh,
There's
okay.
two. So this is almost full. So I'm going to fill it. There'll still be wrinkles. In fact, some of these points will pop apart, which is how it's supposed to go. So popping these apart, they come apart. They were adhered, but now they're coming apart in a good way. Gently teasing them apart. It's still a little squishy, feel that. It's not too tight. Now there's another valve we have to find for the rest of it, which as you can see is still floppy. There it is.
It's hidden.
It's well hid, it's there. So rather than just keep trying to power through, we stopped before it popped and now we're finding the other valve. That's the key. Opening the valve with the stick. See, the valve just came out. So maybe using the stick is not always a good idea. Usually it helps, but now I think it's hurting us. So now we might have to go and use the backup balloon. It's not filling. I can feel it getting hot and there's no actual air in here. So I think if I can't make it work, I will just throw this one away and go to the next one and try to not use this stick, live and learn. But let's just see if I can straighten the valve back out a little bit until it will fill. This is why we have extras. All right. Could you open that for me, please? In this case, for the small kind of balloon, we have what I call the pain in the butt kind. It's not one star with one or two valves. It's a piece of the star, another piece of the star, another piece of the star, etc. So in each case, you find the valve, you blow it up, you tie them together, and you make a star. Okay. Back to the big star. I'm going to try not using the stick. Usually the stick works, but you know what? With this particular model, maybe not. Do me a favor and find the valve on that for me. So with these little stars, you have to blow up each point, and then you'll see there's like a string on each one. You tie the string together, and you're making a bunch of duplets, and then you twist all the duplets together, and it makes the smaller star. Separating the stars like that. Gently. There. Now feel that? So it's pretty full, but not completely rigid. Okay, let's find the other valve. See what's on the other side for me? It must be. I don't see it here. Okay. So now, oh! Well, that's good. This just demonstrates what can go wrong. So, all right, I'm going to put it back in there, and then I'm going to inflate it. I'm going to squeeze the bottom part so it goes into the top. Roll that up. It's not happening very naturally. There we go. Oops, that's too floppy. See that? It might be that the valve is shot. So it might be not holding air. And sometimes I have to make multiple attempts. All right, we'll see tomorrow if it holds. It looks like the valve is holding, and it's not squishy. Okay, so we'll be able to tie this in to the top of that column. For the small stars, some of the ones that we buy are individual points. We inflate each individual point, and then we can tie them into duplets, and then we can twist them around each other. Another option is you can tie all the ones together before you inflate them, rather than doing duplets like I am here in this video. But at any rate, they wind up being tied together and they're individually inflated. And for these particular stars, we're doing 6-pointed stars. There are others that have just one valve and they blow up as a single star. Those are nice and convenient, but that's not what we're using on this project. It's not what we could get a hold of. So depending on what kind you have, you might be blowing them up like this, or it might be a very similar process to the big huge star that we just did. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 points in this star. 6 points in this star. When you're bagging it, you probably will need to bend it down like this so that it will fit in the trailer. These are usually too tall to go in the trailer. And then put a bag up the bottom and a bag over the top. We're going to top this one off instead of with a giant star with an anagram super shape, which is 33 inches. And we are using 11 and 12 inch balloons, but of course they're not inflated to 11 and 12 inches, and it's going to be in a rainbow pattern. So on the bottom, we're doing 2 5-packs in blue, followed by 2 in purple, 2 in red, 2 in orange, 2 in yellow, so it looks like a rainbow. I'll show you the optimal pump for this. We have a foil inflator. This is the foil inflation nozzle. It's purposely leaky down on the bottom, which is important because it doesn't pop them when they get close to being full. What I would never use on foils like this and the unicorn or giant number 7, for example, is this. I actually love this pump. This is Air Force One. This has such high speed and pressure. It's actually the fastest pump we have. I wouldn't use that on the foils. This you might be able to use on the foils. It's a terrific pump, but again, it's a little too high pressure. So the twin air sizer, I probably would skip it. Definitely would not use the Air Force One for the foil part of this one. But the Premium Foil Pro is what we use. Nobody sends us money for this. This is, just an endorsement based on our use of these machines. The other thing you could do to inflate this is a hand pump or floor pump. This is a floor pump. This is another one that you could use. It's probably better than the high-speed pump, but not as good as a foil pump for this kind of thing. It puts a decent amount of air in. What I wouldn't use is a hand pump. Not because it's likely to be too high pressure, but just because it would take so long to fill up a big foil balloon with this little guy that I wouldn't want to do it. When the recipe calls for a stacked pattern, that means all the yellows are together, all the oranges are together, all the reds are together, etc. It's not random, it's stacked. Just like with the other column that you just saw us make, we're making 5 packs, and each one is a little different size, and then we are putting it on the pole and gamushing it. And for the topper attachment, we're using a 260. It's tied in a loop, and it can be used as a rocker to straighten the unicorn once it's on top. Great. See here how you can see the stanchion? So we use these little nunchucks to fill in those gaps. It also is keeping yellow with yellow and orange with orange, so it's a stacked pattern.